The subject of this video is a little bit about Regina, the queen of car loans. Just a little bit of history, just a little bit of knowledge on the queen. On my videos, I usually share tips on cars, about customers purchasing their car for the first time, or about just walking them through the process, leasing versus purchasing, just providing tips. Sometimes when a person just pops on the scene, you gotta do your history about them, or you gotta do your homework. Looking to grow my subscribers, right? My YouTube subscribers. So if you're watching this video, put a comment in the bottom and let people know they need to subscribe to my channel. But anyway, my name is Regina Woodward. Been in the automobile business for 23 years. Got in the automobile business because I love taking care of people. I love taking care of customers. I'm just very passionate about making people happy. I grew up in Michigan, went to junior college, got my associate's degree, got my bachelor's degree, and I played basketball, junior high basketball, high school basketball, junior college All-American, #1 rebounder in the nation back in the day. And I went to college, got an associate's in liberal arts, a bachelor's in sociology, and then I realized by me being so competitive that I wanted to sell automobiles. My best friend, uncle, worked at a Pontiac store back in, wow, if I tell you what year that is, you're gonna know how old I am. But anyway, I started working for a Pontiac store. Pontiac cars are not around anymore because General Motors got rid of Saturn, and they also got rid of Pontiac. They downsized a bunch of their brands. It was called Urban Pontiac, and that's when I learned that I had a passion for selling cars. And how I continued to develop my passion was I developed a niche. My niche was, and still is, I started just giving advice. My customers came in Pontiac or in Michigan, it's a GM town. And you know, if you have 20 people in the room, I would say at least 8 out of the 20 people in the room, they worked for General Motors, or their parents or grandparents worked for General Motors. So we're a GM town. What I started to realize is that a lot of people didn't really understand the financial literacy part when it came to getting into a vehicle, or didn't understand that, you know, they went to work, they worked their hours, they bought the cars that they wanted to buy, because back in the day, you could work at General Motors for a year or 2 years, you could buy a car, and they would actually payroll deduct out your pay the money for your car payment. So GMAC, which it was called back in the day, GMAC used to get their money before the actual customer or the General Motors employee, they got their money. If you were an hourly employee, you got paid every week. If you were a salary employee, you got paid every 2 weeks. Customers didn't care what their car payment was. They just wanted to know what the payment was every week. If they were hourly, they wanted to know what it was weekly. If they got paid every 2 weeks and they were salary, they just wanted to know what it was twice a month. So they could have a $600 car payment on a Grand Prix, and it would be $600 payment divided by 4, because they got paid every week if they were hourly. And that's the only thing they looked at. They didn't really care about the payment. They knew that their car payment was going to get paid regardless, and they could get a car, because back in the day, GMAC and other lenders really didn't look at so much of the credit like they do now. And with that being said, it was like, I could just get me a car every 3 years or 4 years, or if I lease a car back in the day, I was get a smart buy, or leasing now. If I get it, well, they're going to get their money. I'm not worried about it. They're going to get it. Doesn't matter whether it's late or not. But if it's payroll deduct out your account, then they're going to get their money first. There also were the customers that actually didn't do the payroll deduct. They actually just paid their car payment sloppy. They didn't care, because they knew that they were going to get a car because of where they worked, right? I just noticed over the years, it just kept becoming repetition, which meaning that the customers really didn't care, really didn't take care of their business as far as their credit. They just knew that their car payment was coming out their account. And what I saw the trend was, People were going to the gamble at the casino, or they were just going out to eat. They weren't really budgeting their money. What I realized I needed to start educating folks on cars and credit and saying that, hey, you need to pay yourself first. Or not just pay yourself first, but you need to not only have that Christmas account that you're going to have all year to pay your kids Christmas, right? But you need to put some money away for a rainy day fund. You need those 6 months or the 12 months in your account in case you can't work. No matter whether you worked at General Motors or whether you worked at Walmart or whether you worked at Kmart, it didn't matter. You need to put some money away for a rainy day fund so that you could be able to pay your bills in case something happened. And then it was a trend. Parents didn't pay their bills. It trickled down to the kids. And yeah, they needed a place to stay. Yeah, they needed to keep the lights on, but they paid everything late. I just started noticing the trend. And so I came up with this niche. I said, I just need to start educating, reading more, listening more, and just trying to educate my customers by saying, you know what? Go to the credit union and put your money in the credit union. You belong to a big bank like Chase Bank. Back in the day, I think it was MBD Bank. And just one of the big banks. Go belong to the credit union. Your job affiliated with the credit union. Back in the day, when it was General Motors, when it's called GMAC and not LI now, it was Chief Financial Credit Union, which is the same credit union that's still there. That's the credit union that all the General Motors employees in Pontiac or Waterford, or if they worked in Sterling Heights, that was the local credit union for the person that worked at General Motors. So I started educating folks. So that was my niche. And to this day, the niche has helped me be able to grow my business, but also people look at me as the expert. That's how I became the expert, because I started dropping nuggets early on when I first got in the business. How I developed my niche of who I am. Because before I end this video, I want to give you some tips on branding. Because I developed my niche by dropping knowledge, by dropping nuggets. And that's how I became the queen of car loans. One point in my time, I was just not a salesperson. I was a finance manager. I was a subprime finance manager because majority of my customers had problems with their credit. I would put a person in a car and I would educate them at the same time what they need to do to get out that car, or they need to be able to try to refinance that car and save some money. Or if you couldn't refinance that car within a year because of your credit, if you could not, then you needed to get your credit together, save your money, and look to trade in that car and not to complete that 5-year loan at that 24% or that 20% interest rate. That's how I developed the queen of car loans. But I want to end this video by giving you some tips on branding yourself. It doesn't matter what field you're in. One is you want to define your brand and you want to become the expert. Now, I did that early on when I started sharing knowledge and dropping tips, dropping nuggets. And I didn't realize that's what I was doing. I didn't realize that after a couple years after I got into the business that, I was developing the blueprint. The second tip you want to do is when you're developing yourself or developing your brand is you want to establish your presence. Now, over the years, how did I establish my presence? When I developed my name, I had to sell myself when I went to a dealership. When I sold myself coming up with the queen, I used to go out and I used to pass around flyers and postcards. I had my picture on it, had my name. Everybody had to know what I did. I spoke up and I said, hey, do you know anybody needed a car? I gave them a card. I pride myself. It was 20 people in the room. At least 10 people out the room was getting my card. Now, to this day, I don't have to do that because when I walk in the room, everybody knows who I am. But one way I establish my presence now is that I do social media ads. I advertise on Facebook. I have TV commercials. So I've established my brand. I've established my presence. Number 3 is that I generated my brand by networking. So after you establish your brand, don't forget to generate your brand through networking. That's key. The last thing I want to say is that you want to make sure you talk to your friends, talk to your family. they should know what you do. Everybody should know what you do. And you should ask questions. What do you think about my brand? What are some ways for me to improve? Because these are the people that are looking at you every day. But anyway, I wanted to get on this video and just give you a little bit about Regina. How did I develop my niche? How did I develop my brand? When I started off in this video, I was dark, but because I'm in my car talking to you, sitting in the parking lot because I just wanted to get on here and do a video. And then I turned the light on in the car. But anyway, I hope this video helps. This is a little bit out of the norm because usually I am sharing tips, but I share some tips at the end. But I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope this helps.